The FedLife podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a fiduciary, fee-based financial planning firm serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of Raymond James. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Serving Those Who Serve is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. And now, here are your hosts. Dan Sipe serves as a branch manager for Raymond James Financial Services and Serving Those Who Serve. Ed Zerndorfer is our guest and federal benefits expert in the space.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the FedLife podcast. If you're a regular, you know me. I'm Dan Sipe. I'm the branch manager here at Serving Those Who Serve and Lee Sipe and Associates. I'm going to begin as I always do, as I've done for years and years and years, by saying thank you. Thank you for taking the time to watch or listen, but above all, thank you for your service. You're not hearing a lot of thank yous right now, and that hurts my heart, but you've always heard it here. You always will hear it here. So thank you for your service to the government, the country, to me, for everyone. This too shall pass. I have faith in the Republic. I have faith in the institution. And above all, I have absolute, unwavering faith in the dedicated men and women who make up the civilian federal workforce. But you don't hear those thank yous enough. You're always going to hear them here. The other thing you're always going to hear here is my buddy, guru, Ed Zerndorfer. He's back with us once again as part of our ongoing mission to reach, teach, and serve you. Once again, we will follow Ed's FedZone articles, and you can find them every single week in the FedZone section of our website. That's fed-zone.com. It's one more way for us to reach and teach. So, Ed, a lot of the news lately for active feds has not been great. So it's nice to cover a topic that's positive. And that would be the Social Security Fairness Act, and especially what it means for our CSRS and CSRS offset folks. Folks, I'm old, so I go all the way back to CSRS, so we never forget you all. So, Ed, President Biden signed the law on January 5th. Why don't you give us a recap of what this bill fixed, specifically the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset?
Yes. The Social Security Fairness Act, which you mentioned President Biden did sign on January 5th, results in the elimination of two offsets that affect some Social Security recipients, namely CSRS annuitants and CSRS offset annuitants. I want to point out that the Social Security Fairness Act was not passed just for CSRS annuitants and CSRS offset annuitants. It essentially comes down to this, that anyone who works for a government, federal, CSRS, state, or local, who is receiving a pension in which they are not paying into Social Security, they're not covered by Social Security. They're called non-covered individuals, not covered by Social Security. If they have earned enough credits of Social Security, nearly 40, and they want to draw their Social Security, they can. But as a result of the windfall elimination provision, their Social Security will be reduced, not eliminated, reduced. What's the maximum reduction? Between 50 and 55%. Now,
gotcha.
For example, I am a CSRS annuitant. I've earned way over 40 credits of Social Security, and I've been receiving Social Security for the past 4 years, and actually 5 years, and my Social Security has reduced about 45 to 50%. I'm getting it, but it's being reduced. Now, the other offset, it's called the government pension offset, is for those individuals who work for the federal government, CSRS annuitants, CSRS offset annuitants, and individuals who work for a state government, local or city government, in which they're getting a pension in which they didn't pay into Social Security.
Gotcha.
Now, those individuals who are married, to individuals who are receiving Social Security benefits, there's something called a spousal benefit. When it comes to Social Security. If you're a married couple and both individuals are, let's say, are receiving Social Security, or one spouse receiving Social Security, here's what it comes down to. That, let's call it the lower earning or no earning spouse when it comes to Social Security. This is a spouse who's not eligible for Social Security, they didn't have 40 credits, or they have 40 credits, but they're getting a very low retirement benefit. The rule is, when it comes to spouses, that the lower earning Social Security, the lower earning spouse can receive half of the higher earning spouse's benefits. Now, if the lower earning spouse's benefit is more than half of the higher earning spouse's benefit, then the lower earning spouse will receive his or her own benefit. But here's the point of the government pension offset. Under the government pension offset, if the lower earning spouse, or the no earning spouse for that matter, is getting a pension in which they didn't pay into Social Security, like a CSRS annuitant, then under the government pension offset, the government pension offset will reduce, most likely eliminate. This is unlike the windfall where it just reduces, but the government pension offset, because of the formula, will result in a total elimination of a CSRS annuitant's Social Security benefit. I want to point out, though, and this has been the law, a SERVS offset annuitant is not subject to the government pension offset. This is only a CSRS annuitant. All right. So as a result of President Biden signing the bill, both the windfall elimination provision, the WEP, the WEP, and the government pension offset, or GPO, was no longer in existence. As of January 1st, 2024, by the way, the law was made retroactive, and Social Security announced that they'll start paying, they will be making payments, adjusted payments to affected individuals, and any individuals who would have been eligible for these benefits, or for the spousal benefit or their own benefit as a result of being fully insured for Social Security, is invited to apply, and they'll get the full benefit. I want to point out that I am a CSRS annuitant, like I mentioned, and I've been receiving Social Security for years, so I will be getting a full benefit, no more WEP, and we'll get into more details here in a few moments. I also want to point out that I could have received half of my wife's Social Security. Her Social Security was a lot more than mine, but under the government pension offset, I eliminated it. As it turned out, because she was not drawing, I can't make it retroactive, because she has not been drawing. She's waiting to take her Social Security. So that's the basics of the Social Security Fairness Act, what it accomplished. And I want to point out that the government pension offset took effect back in 1977, and the windfall elimination provision passed by Congress took effect in 1985. And over the last 20 years, there's been a lot of requests from National Association of Retired Federal Employees and other organizations that were representing state employees. Not all states have states have pensions for local workers, but not all states, the employees who work for the state or the city, some of them do pay into Social Security. It's only a handful of states and cities in which state employees do not pay into Social Security. So it finally got through Congress. There was a lot of push, and it was signed at the last minute because there was a deadline of December 31st, 2024. And right at the last minute, it was passed by Congress and signed into law, as they say, by President Biden on January the 5th.
Gotcha. Now, as always, Ed and folks, Ed, you give some great examples within your article. So, folks, I urge everyone, if you don't have it in front of you right now, head over to the Fed Zone and pull that up, because there's some great examples. Ed, did you want to pick one or two to talk about?
Yeah, I have them right in front of me here. Okay, here's an example of a government pension offset. Here we have Carl. Carl is a CSRS annuitant and is not eligible for his own Social Security benefit because he has not earned the minimum 40 credits of Social Security. Okay, Carl's monthly his monthly CSRS annuity is $6,000. Now, Carl's married. His wife, Sheila, is eligible for Social Security, and she's currently receiving a monthly benefit of $3,000 a month. $3,000 a month. Now, putting aside the government pension offset, if under normal circumstances, Carl would be eligible for half of Sheila's monthly benefits. That's $1,500 a month, half of $3,000, $1,500. But under the formula for the government pension offset, it works like this: take 2/3 of Carl's monthly CSRS annuity. 2/3 of 6,000 is 4,000. You subtract that from his Social Security spousal benefits. So 4,000 minus 1,500 leaves Carl with nothing.
Gotcha.
Wipes it out. So that's an example. That's an example of a government pension offset. Let's see.
And now Carl can apply and get half of his wife's.
Now, under the new law, he can apply for Sheila's half for this called a spousal benefit. And by the way, I want to mention, it's not only a spousal benefit. If a CSRS annuitant, let's say, was married to someone for at least 10 years,
yep,
and the individual has been divorced for at least 2 years from that individual, and their former spouse, I should say, is receiving full Social Security, then the Social Security Fairness Act allows the CSRS annuitant to apply for half of his former spouses under the following condition: the CSRS annuitant cannot remarry. If they remarry, they're going to lose the benefit.
Okay.
Usually people like, oh no, I will never remarry. I've been there, done that, never again.
Gotcha. And you also give a good example on the WEP.
Okay, here's my example on the WEP. We have Larry. He's a retired CSRS annuitant who receives $8,000 a month. His CSRS annuity check is $8,000 a month. Now, after he retired from federal service, Larry worked part-time in covered Social Security employment. Maybe he was a consultant. Everybody seems to be a consultant after they retire from federal service. And he earned his 40 credits. He's fully insured. So when he reached his full retirement age of 66, he applied for a Social Security benefit. Turned out, he looked at a statement. He's supposed to get $1,500 a month. He looked at a statement. Dan, keep in mind, and I always remind when we do the Social Security webinars, your statements do not reflect the WEP or the GPO. Because when your statement talks about your earnings, so your earnings for the years, Social Security has no idea where you were working. They only concerned about is your W-2, that what is the Social Security wages. All right. So he went, he saw, Larry saw his statement. He's supposed to get $1,500 a month for his monthly Social Security retirement benefit. But because of the WEP, though, his check was reduced to $712, nearly a 50% reduction to his. He went from $1,500 down to $712, a $788 reduction. Under the Social Security Fairness Act, now Larry will be getting. He's going to go up to $1,500 a month. $1,500 a month, but if he's been receiving, let's say $712 a month, and he's been receiving it since January 1st, 2024, he's going to get a retroactive lump sum payment. In other words, right now, let's say it's March right now. So we're talking about 12 months in 2024, 3 months in March. So 15 times $788. I can tell you right now what that's going to be real quick. He's going to get a lump sum payment of $11,820 from Social Security.
Nice.
So that is the example of the WEP. The WEP.
Gotcha. Now, your article goes on to also list who's affected, who's not affected. So let's go ahead and dive into that and get some clarification, because Ed, as you and I have both learned, there's a whole lot of misconception or general lack of knowledge about this, because I think for the past 30, 40 years, people just shrug, I don't get it. I'm not going to learn about it. So who of our listeners should be focusing on this?
Yeah, Dan, that's very unfortunate. So let's go through the list here. If you're a CSRS retiree, okay, a CSRS retiree who earned the minimum 40 credits of Social Security, okay, will now be eligible to get the full amount. No WEP. And as I say, if you've been receiving your Social Security as a CSRS annuitant since for a few years now, you're going to be getting the full amount, but it'll make it retroactive back to January 1st, 2024. So what's going to happen is Social Security announced that they're going to start making full payments, both for individuals who are affected by the WEP and for the individuals affected by the government pension offset, GPO, effective with the April check, April 2024. So that's one thing. But then they'll make it retroactive again if they were receiving it back since January 2024. So it goes. They're going to get they're going to get a lump sum payment for retroactive, and then they're starting in April. They get their full payment. Now, I have talked to some CSRS annuitants, and they say, well, is it really worth doing? And particularly, here's the situation. I have some CSRS annuitants who have like 30, 35 credits of Social Security. 35 credits. They're 5 credits short of being for it. And they say to me, is it really worth going out and getting my 5 credits? In my opinion, absolutely yes. What does it take, Dan, to get 5 credits of Social Security?
A little over a year.
That's right, because you can get 4 credits per year. In 2025, 1 credit of Social Security, I believe, is $1,830. $1,830. 4 times $1,830, that's 4 credits, is what, about $7,300. You could be flipping hamburgers at McDonald's and then come back in 2026. Maybe it's $1,850. Work maybe a couple weeks in January, boom, you got your 40 credits, and then you can apply for Social Security and get the full amount. Keep in mind, Dan, that if a CSRS annuitant is over 65, and most of them are, and they enrolled in Medicare Part B, how are they paying their Medicare Part B monthly premiums?
Gotcha.
Most
probably easy pay or deduction,
or taking off their CSRS annuity check. Most individuals who are enrolled in Medicare Part B have their monthly premiums deducted from their Social Security check.
Yep.
Here, you'll be getting a monthly benefit that far exceeds what your monthly Social Security benefit is. So again, without the WEP, why not?
Yep. It's worth it.
It's like they say, Dan, with the lottery, you can't win unless you play.
Exactly. And further, you touched on it before. If this particular person also has a spouse that worked, that's another reason for them to claim even, and then they might not have to go out and get the additional quarters, depending upon what the spouse made. So that's CSRS. How about the offset, folks?
Well, let me just say about the GPO, the government pension offset. If you are a CSRS annuitant and your spouse or former spouse is drawing Social Security, also, if God forbid you're a widower, and you're a CSRS annuitant, and you have not bothered to apply for your spouse's the spousal benefit or the widow benefit. It's called the widow benefit is the full amount of her deceased spouse's Social Security. You should. I talk to people who say to me, well, is it really worth it? Well, you're going to get the whole amount, the spousal benefit or the benefit. Sure, it's worth it. And I ran into an individual, a friend of mine in the community. His wife is getting full Social Security. She was a school teacher in one of the counties here. And he said, is it really worth it? I said, yes. What do? You got to apply. You have to apply. It's not going to come to you automatically because Social Security has no idea who you are. You have to apply for the benefit. So that is a CSRS annuitant.
Gotcha.
Now we can move on to the service offset annuitant. And Dan, we've been getting a lot of questions about this from service offset annuitants. And here's one of the questions we receive. When you are a service offset annuitant, you are getting a CSRS annuity that has been reduced by the amount of Social Security that you earned as a service offset employee. When you were a service offset employee, you were paying both into the CSRS Retirement Disability Fund and into Social Security, recovered by Social Security. When you retired, if you retired before age 62, you got a full amount, your full CSRS annuity check. Then when you turned 62, the Office of Personnel Management would recalculate your annuity. They would deduct from your CSRS gross annuity the amount of your Social Security benefit that you earned as a service offset employee. It's a reduction. Now, will you get that reduction back if you are a CSRS offset annuitant? Yes, when you apply for your Social Security.
Gotcha.
Because what was taken away from your annuity, now it's in it's in your Social Security pot. Now you're going to get it back, but only when you apply for Social Security. So here's the question we received from many colleagues, employees who are individuals who go onto the Serving Those Served website, who go attend the webinars. Well, does the Social Security Fairness Act going to affect the amount of my reduction? I'm a service offset annuitant. I like to know, will my reduction change? And the answer is no, it will not. It will not. What will change? The only thing that's going to change is your Social Security benefit that you earned during your lifetime. You worked in private industry. Most service offset annuitants worked in private industry. They left federal service and they were under CSRS. They worked for a minimum of 5 years, left federal service for a minimum of 1 year, and when they came back, they were put in service offset. So they were working in private industry. So the question comes up, will their Social Security, their benefit, be affected by the WEP? And the answer is yes, it is possible. The WEP only kicks in, takes effect if an individual during his or her lifetime had less than what's called 30 years of what's called substantial Social Security earnings. Every year, the Social Security Administration defines what are substantial Social Security earnings. Like I think this year it's like $27,500. If you are working in a job, let's say we had, like myself, because that's why I was affected by the WEP, because I had less than 30 years of substantial earnings. My net profit for my business in a given year, it was less than, let's say that I can think of a year, it was $20,000. I couldn't count that year as a substantial year of earnings, but most of the years we're working, I've had substantial years of earnings, but I only have 24 years of substantial earnings. So that's why I was affected by the WEP. So it is possible that a service offset annuitant could be affected by the WEP, if they have less than 30 years of substantial Social Security earnings. My experience has been not that many most of them do have more than 30 years because they worked in private industry for, maybe some cases 10, 15 or more years. They have this.
Sure.
And then you were service offset. They were in service on an employee. They had substantial wages. It's not affected by it. But if they are affected by the WEP, they will not be for their own Social Security benefit. When it comes to the government pension offset, I'm going to clear up something that's been wrong information that's been given out there, including by the Social Security Administration. I'll say it quite clear. I'm going to say it somewhat loudly. A service offset annuitant is not affected by the government pension offset. Should not have been. But in case they were, if they have records of it, they should contact Social Security to get their adjustment readjusted.
Gotcha. And then FERS retirees, no impact for them, right?
No impact on FERS retirees. One category of FERS retirees are called transfers.
Gotcha.
Who are transfers? A transfers is a CSRS employee, who was a CSRS employee for a minimum 5 years. And then in 1998, 1987, 1988, the Office of Personnel Management conducted an open season inviting CSRS employees with a minimum 5 years of service to voluntarily come over to FERS. They did the same thing during the last 6 months of 1998. There weren't a lot who did.
I remember.
But if you are a transfers, you should not be affected by any of this. Not affected by the WEP, not affected by the government pension officer.
Gotcha. Now, next one, folks, lean in on this one. I would say take notes, but you don't have to because we have the whole article available for you. That's the one great thing about our podcasts. We take the notes in advance for you. So you can go grab the website, but lean in, pay attention here. So Ed, what should CSRS retirees who have never applied for their spouses or former spouses' benefits do?
All right, I'm going to read what it says verbatim. I'll read it slowly. Again, it's in the Fed zone. And
yep.
It came out a couple of weeks ago in late February, and it's there. It's called the Social Security Fairness Act. What does it mean to federal retirees? All right. Since the government pension offset can reduce or more likely eliminate a CSRS retiree's spousal or surviving spousal Social Security benefit, some annuitants may have never applied for their Social Security spousal benefit. In that case, a CSRS retiree annuitant who has never filed an application for a spousal Social Security benefit should do so as soon as possible. If their spouse is deceased, then the CSRS retiree is eligible to receive the full amount of their deceased spouse's monthly Social Security benefit. As a widow, it's called a widower benefit. Filing sooner for either the spouse benefit or widow benefit may help the retiree get a higher benefit amount. One caveat, though. If your spouse, in the case here, we're talking to a CSRS retiree, a spouse is eligible for Social Security but is not drawing. You cannot draw on your spouse's Social Security benefit, the spouse benefit, if he or she is not drawing. If they're not drawing, you cannot draw. You have to wait till they draw. Also, those CSRS retirees who are divorced may be eligible for a former spouse's benefit or widow benefit. To be eligible, the CSRS retiree must have been married to the former spouse for at least 10 years and been divorced from that spouse for at least 2 years and has not remarried. If you remarry, you'll lose that benefit. But keep in mind, if you remarry, maybe your new spouse will have a higher Social Security benefit. You could trade up in a way.
Gotcha. Now, I'd also kind of a dovetail on this. If we have somebody who's CSRS never really took a swing at getting their Social Security benefits because they didn't think it'd be that much or something like that, they should take some steps now too, right?
Absolutely. Let's assume they're fully insured. They have their 40 credits. The earliest age you can apply for Social Security is age 62.
Gotcha.
If you take it at 62, your benefit is going to be reduced, not because of any offset, because of age. You can start receiving your Social Security starting at age 62. You're encouraged, though, to wait at least until your full retirement age to avoid any type of reduction. What is full retirement age? Depending on what year you're born, any age between 66 and 67. This year, full retirement age for people born in 1959 is 66 years and 10 months.
Gotcha.
Anybody born after 1959, full retirement age is going to be 67. If you want to wait longer, you're encouraged to wait till 70 to get a higher benefit, because for every year you wait past your full retirement age to start receiving your Social Security benefit, you'll get what's called a delayed retirement credit. 8% per year, Dan. Guaranteed. I know you're a registered representative, you're a stockbroker. And Dan, can you tell me a place you can get a guaranteed 8% return per year?
I don't have one of those on the shelf, Ed.
Well, when you do, let me know, please. But in this case, I will tell you, Social Security says you wait 1 year, we'll give you 8% more.
Gotcha.
Until age 70.
Gotcha. Now, kind of rounding out the article, you've got a little bit of a pack your patience paragraph here because you talk about some of the challenges that Social Security is going to be facing with this. So why don't you buzz through those pretty quickly?
Although Congress did pass the Social Security Fairness Act, but the Social Security Administration faces a lot of challenges now. A lot of challenges. They've been cut back in terms of budget. They have more work to do. And it's almost impossible to make an appointment with Social Security. You're on the line. When you call them up, you'll probably be on wait for about 3 to 6 hours before someone's going to pick up the phone. And now with the budget, they're facing budget problems. Their budget is going to come back. They're faced with this reduction in personnel.
Sure.
And they're closing offices. It's a real, and now Congress put this on their lap. Not to mention the Social Security Trust Fund is due to not run out, but it's going to be close to the not being able to pay full benefits within 9 years, 2033, and This is going to add to the budget, to the challenges. An announcement came out right away, right after the Social Security Fairness Act was passed, that don't expect for those individuals who are applying to get the higher benefits or benefits. Don't expect to see anything until 2026. That's how long it's going to take them because there's a lot of work to be done here. Social Security is challenged with other things now. But then on February 25th, they announced payments are going to start as of April. The retroactive payments will be paid out in March. Somehow they got it all together.
That's great news. And Ed, you kind of close out your article with a warning, which I think is always relevant in these times, regarding scams that may pop up from this.
It's so upsetting that we live in an age now with all the scams going on. It seems like any time there's some type of crisis in the country, there's always scam artists. So individuals, have to be careful who they're talking to when it comes to if they're going to apply for their benefits. They should go to the Social Security website, and if they sense anything that doesn't seem right, someone said, for example, someone calls up a individual and says, "Listen, I heard that you are a CSRS annuitant, or you're and you're entitled to your own benefit, or you never applied for your benefit, but you're eligible for your spouse's benefit. Tell you what, if you go through me, number one, I can get the money to you faster than Social Security can." Hang up. Delete the email. It's a scam.
Flee. Yep.
It's too good to be true. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Gotcha.
Follow, and if you sense a scam coming on, report it to Social Security. I have a website there, the www.ssa.gov/scams, and report it. So CSRS retirees, CSRS offset retirees have to be very proactive here. You got to take the bull by the horn. You got to be active. You just can't. You got to do it as soon as possible. The sooner you do it, the sooner you're going to get your benefit and the higher your benefit. So you got to take advantage of it.
Couldn't agree with you more, sir. And Ed, once again, you did it. You took a complex topic. You made it really understandable, both in your article and here. So as I always do, on behalf of all Feds and on behalf of us serve, I want to thank you for being such a great resource.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Couldn't do it without you.
More columns. We will be doing more columns. We're on the Social Security Fairness Act. We're not done yet. We're just getting started. As I mentioned, if you're eligible for a retroactive payment because you were receiving benefits, either your benefit or a spousal benefit, as of January 1st, 2024, you'll be getting a retroactive lump sum payment sometime during March. If you have not received it in April, that's when you contact Social Security. Give them, because the payments are being paid out, are being distributed by Social Security throughout the month of March. So wait till April if you've not received your payment. And the new payments, the adjusted payments that will now not include the WEP or the GPO, will start with the April payment. So individuals should be on the lookout for that.
Gotcha. Well, folks, that is a wrap. Ed, I want to share a milestone with you because we crossed it in the last week. Over the last 12 months, we have had 1 million people visit the website.
Fantastic.
That's a milestone for us. And folks, that means the world to us. Ed, we've had almost 400,000 just for this year alone. So we built this, folks. We built this for this purpose. We built this for this time. I am sorry for everything that's happening here, but I'm glad that we have this resource built. So we are serving those who serve. There's only one. Don't accept a knockoff. And be sure to subscribe to this podcast on our YouTube channel and Spotify. And please, 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 now more than ever, share it with your friends. Share it with strangers. Just pass it around because this is one place you can come. We're not pitching stuff here. We're helping you understand the benefits. So there's one place where you and your friends can come. And don't forget our live webinars every single week. We've got special ones for Vera that we're doing. Nobody else is doing that, but Ed has the capability of pulling this stuff together. So we're doing it. So head over to swserve.com, click that webinar button and check out the whole array. The guru comes to you, reach you where you are, teach you where you are, above all, serve you where you are. Sign up for one, sign up for all, share it with friends. They will thank you. And be sure to read Ed every single week in the Fed Zone. He's there. We cover them here sometimes, but there are great articles that we don't have the ability to always amplify to the podcast. You don't want to miss those. And you can also, you can find that at fed-zone.com. So closing out for Ed, crew at Serving This Serve, me, Dan Sipe, close out as I always have by saying good luck, Godspeed, and above all, remember, it's your Fed life. Make it a great one because you deserve it. We are here to help you. We're going to stay here to help you through all of this. Stay well, everybody. We are out.